And it looks like we're live. Okay, cool. It's Roberto. Today we're doing another vlog. I'm doing kind of a brain dump style vlog, just getting some things off my chest. I hope you guys have been having a great year in 2016 so far. It's been a while since I did one of these. I've actually really missed doing these with you guys and just doing something live. I've been doing a lot of Periscope lately. But today I want to talk about passion, practicality, and purpose because, I think a lot of people are getting some of these things wrong. I think even a lot of people who have followed me for a long time by looking at some of my comments, I think that there's a point where it's great to know exactly what you want to do if that's who you are. But it took me forever to really lock in exactly what I wanted to do with all of my skills. I knew that I was passionate about a lot of things. I knew I was passionate about art, about creativity, about video, about so many things at a very young age. But that didn't necessarily mean that I had a sense of purpose. And when your passion is something that's very real and important to you, but you don't have a clear sense of purpose, you can end up feeling like you have no direction, and you can end up wandering through life and having, this like hole inside of you because you're not living the way that you should be living because you don't have a direction. You're going in 20 different places at once. You have no focus. You have no center. You have no zen. I think that is probably the thing that was wrong. A lack of focus, a lack of clear direction. I was focusing on whatever I was most passionate about more than anything else probably at the time, and that was very good when I was doing that. But then if I would get into something else, I would kind of get this shiny object syndrome. And I think that that was very disruptive to me. And I think that there were too many people in my life who were afraid to tell me to focus and to help try and give me that direction and make me ask myself real questions that would have led to me being more self-aware. I think people were so afraid of discouraging me that they didn't give me the help that I might have really needed. I think that if I had gotten some really candid people in my life to really make me question things earlier, that I would have focused a lot quicker in life and I would have gotten a lot farther. But I don't have any regrets because I have a life that I'm very grateful for. But it's partly because people challenged me after a certain point that they felt comfortable to do that. And they made me ask those honest questions and become more self-aware. If my friends and family hadn't done that for me, I would still be wandering and still be wondering what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I think that that's a situation that a lot of people are in. I also think that a lot of people are scared to tell young people sometimes some real hard truths. And I think that that leads to lives that they become dissatisfied with. Yes, everyone's responsible for their own lives and their own choices, but your choices in life are sometimes dictated by the five people that you walk. That's why I'm very purposeful. And so I might revisit or redo that video. So, those are things that I think about a lot. And I was having a long-winded comment and debate with somebody in one of my recent videos because we were talking about YouTube, and we're talking about so many young people wanting to be YouTube famous and a YouTuber. And in my video very early on recently, in a video about becoming a successful YouTube creator, I told people something that they might have taken very harshly or as a criticism. I told them that if they want to be YouTube famous, that they need to realize that 99.9% of them will not be YouTube famous, and that they probably need to spend their time and their youth on things that they enjoy the most or things that would be very valuable to them in life. Because here's a reality. The overwhelming majority of people on YouTube are not YouTube famous. The overwhelming majority of people on YouTube are not making a living on it. I don't try to make a living on YouTube. I'm a businessman first. I've never concealed that. And I use YouTube to help elevate my business, my personal brand, and it's helped bring me some of those successes. But if I was going to be a full-time YouTuber, I couldn't make a living that way right now. And I think a lot of people are underestimating the amount of hard work it takes to do that. And so when I give them the realistic advice of do not bet all your cards on this one thing, look at building a life that you'll be very happy with. Go out there if you're 15, 16, instead of spending your time obsessing over your YouTube views and YouTube subscribers, hang out with your friends, spend time with your family, get into activities, get into boys or girls or whatever young people, are supposed to be doing to enjoy and have a fulfilled and happy life and experiences, instead of getting depressed because what YouTubers say or do, or because you feel you're not getting the subscribers or the views that you want. You do realize there are people who are working themselves up into anxiety and depression and crying themselves to sleep at night because of this YouTube thing, when they could be successful in so many other things that they're very good at, or they could be spending time, instead of worrying about what I'm saying, in that time seeking the counsel of their parents or of their best friends. I think that we've come to a place, and we've come to a culture, an internet culture, where people are not living the lives that they want and that they're meant to have, because they're spending too many time focusing on things that might not matter nearly as much in the long run of who they become. You have to remember that everything that makes me successful at YouTube, I learned, and I did it because of the things I was passionate about before YouTube existed. I am 31. I will be 32 this year. The YouTube platform didn't exist until about 2005. YouTube is 10, 11 years old. I was a grown adult. I was about 21 years old when YouTube existed. I'd already spent, from the time I was 13, designing, coding. I had been doing visual arts and been an illustrator for years before that. I had been doing photography before that. I was editing video at 15 and shooting stuff. I spent years, and in some case up to a decade, building up skills and experiences that would later translate to the successes that I have in the online world, in my career, and in YouTube. And so when I see somebody at 15, 16, 13, 18 who's still trying to figure out who they are, obsess over this thing, I get very worried that they're making YouTube, because they're passionate about it, their purpose in life, when it's not meant to be their purpose in life. YouTube is a platform that lets you share and express and emote and connect with people all over the world. And that's great. But that doesn't mean that YouTube is your purpose. If you're someone who teaches on YouTube the way I do, YouTube helps me fulfill the purpose of changing the culture of creative people, creative services professionals, give advice to creative students, and help creative entrepreneurs in understanding how to build their brands and market themselves. That's what my actual purpose is helping people create awesome things and share them with the world. That is my clearly defined purpose. Those are people that I'm trying to help. People who want to create, people who want to build something, people who want to grow creatively, people who might be musicians or artists or writers, or people who want to build a business that does something really cool that benefits the world. Those are the people that I care about and really want to help. And YouTube lets me reach the overwhelming, amount of people that I could, versus blogging would be harder. I'm developing my skills in podcasting. That is hard in and of itself, but I feel that video is a platform where I get to express myself very well and that I enjoy, and I have skills that add up to that. I have skills that are in alignment with what YouTube has to offer. I have a purpose that YouTube could help me do better at and can help me reach more people with and fulfill easier. YouTube is a great marketing platform to grow my business. All of these things add up and line together. So I have the things that I'm passionate about that I develop skills in. Then I have a purpose, and the platform helps me achieve that purpose. And I do it all from a place of practicality rather than romanticism. I do it from a place of thinking smart, working very hard, working strategically, and managing my time as efficiently and effectively as possible. I can do that partly because that's my mindset, that's my experience, that's my area of expertise, that's my circle of genius that people call, and not that I'm calling myself a genius, but there's a thing called a circle of genius where you figure out what you're good at and what you care about, and where you can win. And people have talked about this in the business world for years, and it's going more mainstream now. Motivational speakers are talking about it, but people need to figure out what their circle of genius is. And they need to really focus their time and their attention, their energy, and their money on those things. And sometimes that won't necessarily be the thing that you're the most passionate about. You might be very good in a position to help millions of people, but you might be really passionate about video games. And so the world ends up losing and you might not have the best life that you can live if you spend more of your time on, like, video games than on the fact that you might be the person that could speak about what it's like for people working in the job market with invisible illnesses, or you might be the person that is meant to do the artwork or the poster that ushers in more awareness about childhood autism, but instead you're, drawing unicorns because that's what you're really into at the moment. And that's fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have personal enjoyment and take personal time. But what I am saying is that you need to learn sometimes to differentiate between what you're passionate about and what your purpose in life is meant to be. And sometimes you need to figure out what you like versus what you're good at. I did a whole vlog where I talked about the fact that I gave up on my original dream of being an animator. But you know why? Because I found the purpose behind what was making me want to pursue that dream. You see, I grew up watching cartoons and movies and things throughout the 80s and the 90s that made me feel good about myself, that gave me like guidance and knowledge and like something to relate to, and also brought joy into my life after bad days sometimes. And I wanted to be a cartoonist or animator because I thought that was the way that I could do that for other people, especially other kids. So I figured out that that's what my motivation was. I figured that out later. I then found out that I wasn't necessarily going to be very good at that, or even though I was talented, that I may not enjoy doing that as a living for work because I didn't want to be told what to draw. I didn't want to be told how to draw it. I didn't want to be told what to do with my creativity, and I didn't want to subordinate my ideas and my stories to somebody else. So I realized that becoming an animator or cartoonist and working for Disney or Marvel was not going to make me happy. So I stopped pursuing that goal in order to become a designer because it was a skill that I had that I was good at and something I still enjoyed and was still very passionate about. In the end, I realized that even doing that, that while I enjoy that, that I still had that deeper goal inside of me of wanting to create value for other people beyond just helping businesses make money. And that's where my blog came from back in like 2009. And then eventually, that's where in 2013, taking this YouTube channel seriously came from. It came from realizing that I had the skills in video editing and video production and photography and design and marketing and online SEO and Google search and all of those things. All of my skills ultimately added up to what would make a YouTuber successful. And I realized that. And so I realized that YouTube could be a platform to propel my ultimate purpose, changing the narrative of creative services, helping people execute on their things instead of just patting them on the back. I could have just been a motivational speaker, and a lot of you would still be subscribed to me today if I went that route. But I wanted to give people accurate, actionable advice. I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to encourage you, but I'm also going to enable you. I'm going to give you tools. I'm going to talk to you about things that work and that I did that worked for me in my career. I'm going to give you strategies. I'm going to remove excuses by, showing people how to do something or walking them through it or talking to mentality, how to develop good habits, all of those things. Or, okay, I don't have money. Okay, cool. I'm going to show you how to do this on a budget. I'm going to show you how to do this for free. I'm going to show you how to do that. Oh, I don't have time. Cool. I'm going to show you how to do this quickly then. I'm going to eliminate those excuses, enable people, empower them, give them education, and set an example of, okay, here's what I did, not just theories. Here's what I actually did. Here was the result. Here you go. That was what I figured out. I figured out my ultimate overarching purpose and how to fulfill it, and that YouTube would give me an advantage in accomplishing those goals. And I had to do it from a place of practicality. Was it going to be practical to do YouTube full time? No. So cool. I need to figure out how to achieve my goal while aligning YouTube to something that can help my business and my personal brand and my finances. Okay, cool. That's where I figured out the different versions of monetization beyond AdSense that I talked about in a YouTube video where I told you about 6 or 7 ways to make money on YouTube. I figured out things with sponsorship. I figured out things with using it to get more referral business, to grow my brand, consulting, public speaking, writing. I figured out all these, even the Create Awesome merchandise. I figured out all these derivatives of how do I make the time that I'm giving to YouTube to help people practical from a business standpoint that allows me to have more time to do it very well. So passion purpose, and practicality. Because if any of those things were lacking, the results would be less than ideal. And as a result of that, I have a life that I'm very grateful for. I have a business that is growing. I have a growing personal brand. More of you are aware of me. And I get to read stories every day from all of you about something that I put out there that helped lead to an execution action that you took, that you felt more confident about, or more educated about, or more empowered to do because of something that I shared. And that is something that means the world to me and is very grateful to me. I look at my YouTube subscriber number, and I don't look at it for the vanity of, oh, cool, I've got this many subscribers. I look at it from what someone might call the egocentric or bravado of, oh, cool, I helped tens of thousands of people. But the thing is, in all modesty, that's kind of a really good legacy to know that if something were to happen to you, that you impacted the lives of as many people as possible in a positive way. My biggest regrets in life are not even the business accomplishments that I still have yet to achieve. My biggest regrets in life are the people that I feel that I could have done more for, or that I could have done, better by. Particularly people even in my own family that I feel like I really wish that I had had a bigger impact in their life to influence things so that maybe something was very different. I don't want to get super personal on that. And I also don't want to bum myself out thinking about certain people that are no longer with me. People who are in situations that I'm not thrilled about. And I'm actually getting a little emotional about right now, just thinking about it. But I can't help but think sometimes that if I've been in their life every day or had the opportunity to do that, that things would have went very differently. And that's the thing that I think I regret the most, is the fact that I didn't have the opportunity to make a difference, or that I didn't feel I was in a position financially that would have allotted me the time to invest to make a difference. And so when I get on these videos and I tell you guys anything, it's from that place of practicality, and it's from a place of experience, and it's from a place of being genuine. And even if I seem snarky in some things that I say, or even if it seems like a little bit like I'm being defensive about something, the thing is I take it a little seriously sometimes, because I know the impact that can have in taking actions that were aligned to my purpose, that my life would be very different, possibly better. I know that if other people I know had been very much focused on their purpose and had been practical in life, that they would have things that they want to achieve today, and that would have made a difference in the people around them in their lives, and possibly people out in the world, that there was more good that could have been accomplished. And so while I don't want anyone to not do the things they enjoy, I think in some ways being practical gives you even more enjoyment, because you're able to see a result, feel motivated, and a lot of times if you're successful enough, it gives you back so much more of your time. There's so much that I get to do now with family and friends that I get to do like when I had to spend so much time, it was very hard on me. And I see it being very hard on other people. And now I get to hear stories of people who are having easier and better lives because they're able to do things that they care about and have meaning for them, while also being successful. But it requires the sacrifice of being pragmatic. It requires the sacrifice of understanding that sometimes it's not about the dream that you have. It's about what made you dream that in the first place. What was the origin of that great and epic fantasy that you have in your mind for your life? And then if you go back to the roots of your origin, if you go back to what that dream was, then in the seeds of that, you can find your focus and you can find your purpose. And if you work at that, and if you find what you're really meant to do and you focus your time and your energy there, then the life that you really want for yourself deep down isn't out of reach. I'm not telling anybody that go ahead and quit YouTube, or go ahead and quit art, or go ahead and quit this thing that you are set on. I'm telling people that if you don't approach it with a sense of purpose, if you don't look at it very practically, and you don't become very realistic about how hard it is and how competitive life is, make no mistake, we don't get participation trophies in life. That's a real thing. It's all about the marathon. It's about the legacy. It's about the long game. And it's about being in it for the haul. Every single one of us knows exactly, for the most part, what it takes to be an Olympic level athlete. And 99.9% of us won't be Olympic level athletes. And the reason is we will not give up the things and do the work that it takes to be an Olympic level athlete. That's just real talk. We're just not going to do that. And even people who are very passionate about it who go there, short, some not meant as judgment that brings value to your life. Is that the only thing you care about? If the answer is no, and there's something else, then maybe you explore that, and maybe you invest in that, and maybe that is actually more readily attainable for you, and maybe that is what you're really supposed to be doing right now. Because if you go ahead and if you spend all of your time doing something impractical and coming up short, what it does to your brain is you start thinking that everything is impossible. You start thinking that everything is unattainable if you do that. I mean, when we're kids and we want to do everything and anything, the reality is that we're very lucky that sometimes people talk us out of it, right? Because some of those things, and not all the time, because the thing is, I don't think you should totally discourage like kids, but like there's some very unrealistic things that could be seriously dangerous to keep pursuing with no real goal and plan. And the thing is, I worry that something like YouTube could become one of those things, because there are kids right now that I guarantee you are failing in school and are getting depressed and anxious because they're spending all their time invested in becoming YouTubers, and they're not focusing on friends. They're not focusing on their grades. They're not focusing on the future they're supposed to build. They're focusing on the dream of being internet famous, because in their mind, that's easier, or that's fun, or that's the thing that they think they should be doing because the person they admire the most is doing that. And I think it's a mistake. And I think there's so many people, and I'm not calling anyone out, but I think there's so many people that are afraid to say that and to be honest, because they're afraid of being called out in comments. They're afraid of losing subscribers by saying, you're telling people to give up or to not chase their dreams and everything like that. And the reality is, if your dream is to mount wings and fly around the world like the Falcon, then, you know, it's not unreasonable to say that's probably not going to happen, or that, well, unless you want to become a great engineer and learn about robotics and hydraulic systems and jet propulsion, and you want to be one of the top people in the world at NASA, which, by the way, if you're going to do that, then you could probably save the world instead of flying around it. But, unless you're going to do that, then it's probably not going to happen. That's not unreasonable to say. But I think that so many people are soft. I think so many people are scared of the court of public opinion that they're afraid to tell people to be practical and to not necessarily get from the passion, align it. And then, by the way, I'm going to tell you that's a lot of hard work, because I've never told anyone to say, oh, quit YouTube or give up on YouTube. Because here's the thing. If I was going to do that, why would I have made 70 videos to help people who want to grow in YouTube? But every one of those 70 videos basically has the narrative of, this is hard, do the work. If I was going to tell people don't become an artist, why would I encourage people to go into graphic design? And why would I make 165 videos helping people to build a career in that industry based on my experiences in it? I've been historically correct about a lot of things, and my career is the proof of that. This channel, in a lot of ways, is the proof of that. But more importantly, the stories that you guys tell me about the difference that something that I might have said made in your life, the positive impact that it had, what you were able to accomplish, some of the things you guys have shared with me, the people that I meet whenever I go out to conferences or I go to conventions that are able to tell me what the difference or the impact was for them. That's the proof, not that I need to prove anything, but that's the proof and the historical proof that some of these things that I'm talking about, I am in fact right about them, and they do matter. And I think that there are people who are more interested in entertainers when I need a pick me up or when I need to feel better about my day. You know, that's important too. But I think that so many more people are interested in their vanity numbers and how they're perceived and in being liked than in being genuinely helpful. And I really worry about that because I think that that robs people of value. I think that some of the most important people in my life have given me some hard truths and some hard honesty. It helped me grow. In my 20s, friends who told me that I need to learn to slow down and be observant, that probably was some of the most helpful advice that I ever got in my life. I didn't take it personally. I didn't take it as a negative criticism. I took it as them seeing an area where I could grow and trying to help me. And I asked them about it. I asked them what they meant by that. And they told me things like the fact that you're so interested in getting to a solution in a problem and trying to help people fix something that sometimes you ignore the gaps in what their experience is and don't realize that even if you could solve the problem for them today, that might be too overwhelming because they're not prepared for what comes next. And I thought about that. And I realized, well, I was like, wait, how can solving a problem be a bad thing? Or how could solving a problem immediately or as much as possible be a bad thing? And then I realized something. I realized that not everybody is prepared for what comes after success, because I thought about some of my own stuff and I thought about, what if I was handed the greatest opportunity that I could imagine today? How would I deal with it? After being initially excited, I realized that given the opportunity to do that thing right now, I could only fail at it. Right now, if I was given the opportunity to direct a feature length film, tomorrow, if that was what I had to go out and do, I'd fail at it. The odds are probably 99.9% that if I was told tomorrow to show up on set and direct a feature length film or start the process of that, that I would fail. If I was told right now to drive down and give, a speaking engagement, I wouldn't fail, but it would be like I haven't had any prep. I would have to go on stage, and I could do it because I can do live talks and I can do stuff on the fly. But would it be the best performance that I've ever given on stage? No, it wouldn't be. The odds are, 70, 80% that wouldn't be true. So the thing is, I'd probably pass on that. It's okay to pass on things. It's okay to say no. It's okay to realize that if something worked out or if you got your wildest dream, that it could actually become your worst nightmare very quickly. There's nothing wrong with understanding that, because that's called self-awareness. That's called understanding your strengths and weaknesses and what you're prepared to do, what you're not do that. And I think that if you really approach things with practicality in mind, and if you really break things down, then you'll understand what you will be successful at and what will be overwhelmingly difficult for you and how you will feel about that. I like taking on challenges, but I don't fight losing battles. I don't do things that I know have an extraordinarily high failure rate if I care about the outcome. But if what I care about is the process, if I care about the journey, if I care about the adventure, and I don't care about the result, then I will do things with a high failure rate. The content I do on this channel is a primary example of it. Every single video that I'm doing, for the type of video that I'm doing, with very few exceptions, has a high quote unquote failure rate, meaning that the way that I approach content has not been proven for every single other person to be something that's scalable. The way I handle some of that and why I give advice that sometimes contradicts what I'm doing specifically, but not the principles, mind you, is because I'm leveraging it on the back of my abilities and off of my personality, on the fact that I want to learn more than I want to win at this particular thing. I'm setting myself up to get punched in the face by a black belt in the hopes that I learn enough to beat a red belt. That's the way that I play the game. Is I set myself up for things so that I can grow, because I've put myself in a position where it's okay for me to fail. And emotionally, I can take it. I have been able emotionally to take it when videos don't get views, when comments go a different way than I would like, and when and what I hope or predict it to be. I can take those losses. Not everyone can do that. So self-awareness and practicality says don't set yourself up for things that you're. I'll give you a real world example. If you know that you're someone who's easily depressed, you should not be watching news stories that are going to depress you, or you shouldn't be watching movies that are going to make you sad or make you think about your mortality or remind you of a tragedy in your personal life, because you're setting yourself up to have a negative outcome. Avoid setting yourself up to have negative outcomes. If you're someone who's easily discouraged, then like trying to become a YouTube star, trying to win a gold medal, those are things that have high failure rates. And if you're easily discouraged, a minor setback that is part of the process of that work, a failure, even a colossal failure, that's part of the process of that work, is going to derail you. And you're just going to set your expectations lower and lower and lower and lower, versus small wins, things that you can succeed at, things that are realistic, things that are practical, things that are easier to do, will build you up and build up your confidence, and then make you try harder and not feel as bad because you have all these wins under your belt that tell you, well, it's not that I'm a loser. It's just that I took a loss. It's okay. I can keep trying and I'll win again because I've won in the past. If you have no experiences of victory, then taking on things that are extraordinarily challenging could be soul crushing to you in terms of motivation. So, those are the things that I think about and that I worry about. And that's where my advice comes from a lot of times, is from that real place of practicality, because I've experienced it. I know what made me go through depression. I know what created my anxiety. I know what created my low self-esteem. And I know what also reversed all of it. I know what reversed all of it. I talk about, and I've talked about in other vlogs, where I struggled throughout my teenage years and my early adulthood in my 20s with extreme depression and anxiety. I try not to talk about it a lot, but I do address it, and I do acknowledge that's part of who I was at that time. I had to deal with the fact that for a long time, I literally was getting on the subway to go to my job in Manhattan at the ad agency every day. Out of 5 of those days, I'm throwing myself in front of the train that I'm not proud of, but I am proud that I overcame that stage of my life. I know exactly what got my brain and my mentality to that place. I also know what reversed the whole thing. And I know that looking at, previous wins, looking at what made me really happy, and focusing on those things and giving myself more opportunities to be happy, more opportunities to win, more opportunities to be successful than to be discouraged. That helped. When it got to a point to where I surrounded myself with positive influences, the negative people and detractors in my life didn't mean as much. When I was able to cut those negative people out, it was even better. And so those are the things that added up to a mentality of success. But passion wasn't going to carry me to success by itself. Practicality had to play a role, and the focus of having a purpose in my life, something that I had to achieve. That's what did it. And so for those of you out there who have something that you're really passionate about, I want to encourage you to figure out how your passion aligns to your purpose in life, and to figure out what your purpose in life actually is. What is the thing that you're supposed to do before you leave this earth? What is the absolute greatest value? What is the most awesome thing you can create? What would be your greatest creation that would stand the test of time? Why are you not putting your effort and your energy and your time into that as much as possible? Have you done something today that leads you to that execution, to that legacy goal, to that triumph? If not, really think about that and think about what you can do. That's how you start aligning your passion to your purpose. And it should be rooted in practicality. What can I do today? It'll help you find it in the next 30. What would really probably help you and make a difference in your life is a $10,000 execution. And that's not the same thing as settling. It's about redirecting to practicality. Losing 100 pounds in a month may not be a reasonable goal, but losing 5 or 10 might. Practicality. So again, I'm not ever really truly encouraging anyone to give up. It's very much the opposite. I think my narrative has been consistent on that, but I always encourage people to be realistic, to set expectations for themselves that are reasonable, and to measure their progress daily. That's why I tell you, create something awesome today. It's not just a tagline. It is a mandate and motivation for execution. Create, which means do something, anything, something. That something should be something that's practical, something that's purpose driven, and something that you care about, something you value, and that can bring value. And then I say, awesome. Okay, that's a qualifier. Something that is truly meaningful, something that's good, something that is important to you. And then today, that's the part that's really important. Do it today. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. If you can't execute on something today, look for something you can execute on today. If something's too big, oh, I don't have the time, I can't do it today, find something that can be done in 5 minutes if that's all you have. If all you have is 5 minutes to work out, 5 minutes to jot down an idea, 5 minutes to say thank you to people, 5 minutes to have a meaningful conversation, 5 minutes to say, I love you, 5 minutes to hug your kid, 5 minutes to play with your kid. Whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing that means something to you, I'm sure you can find 5 minutes out of your day to do it. That's why I find it important to give you guys at least 5 minutes out of my day, from the running of my business to the time that I spend with family and friends, to the time that I use to educate myself and do personal growth, to the time that I give my clients. I find at least 5 minutes to put something out into the world for you guys on YouTube or on Medium or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Periscope every day, because I'm trying to show you that you matter to me and that I care about your life and that I care about what you want to create and I want to help you. And that means something. It means something to me. And I hope it means something to you. And I'm getting sentimental again. But that's why I say create something awesome today. It is something that I tell myself that matters. It is the thing that saved my life. My entire life is create awesome, because it is the fundamental philosophy that saved me from myself and from all the negativity in the world that exists and from the negative people that I had in my life, and helped me cut them out. See the scissors? I cut them out. So that's why I say it. That's why it's important. That's what I'm about. And so now you know how I aligned my passion to my purpose and why it's so important that I rooted it in practicality instead of setting myself up to be discouraged and to not win. And so I hope you guys have taken something from that. In the comment section, what I want to know from you is, what is your life's purpose? What is the work that is the most important thing that you can do? And what are you going to do about that today, tomorrow, over the next week? Yep, that's what I want to know in the comment section. And also how you feel about this video. I'm going to try and make more time to do vlogs like these and to do this, like, you know, without super emotional and without close. But, you know, this is therapeutic for me. And I think that it also helps a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of response to you guys when I do these very human videos. And I want to do more with that. And so I'm going to actually make that a point of focus for, you know, this year, of trying to do these every Sunday. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. As always, you guys, thanks so very much for watching. And remember, create something awesome today.